My daughter passed away, leaving behind twins. Her husband said, returning these defective kids. I hugged my grandkids. They whispered, as planned, Mom, what is the truth? I'm going to remarry a doctor. I'm returning the kiss with the bad genes. After Mary's funeral, Andy spoke those outrageous words to me and the twins. Anger welled up inside me at his cruel words. I was about to confront Andy and demanded an apology, but he left the waiting room. I thought about chasing after him, but I saw the twins sitting in the corner of the room, heads down. Right now, taking care of the twins is my top priority, not chasing after Andy. Ken, Nick, I'm so sorry. I never imagined it would turn out like this. What a terrible grandmother I am, to argue in front of these young children. I hugged the twins tightly and apologized. But Grandma, don't apologize. Nick's voice was brighter than I expected. His expression was also cheerful. It all went according to plan, Mom. Grandma, you don't have to worry anymore. The twins' words left me stunned. My name is Emily James, and I'm 55 years old. My husband passed away a few years ago, and I currently live alone. Right after my husband passed away, I often felt down. But the reason I'm able to stay positive now is probably thanks to my daughter, Mary. Mary is my only daughter and got married about 10 years ago. She's 32 now and lives with her husband, Andy, and 2 sons, Ken and Nick, making a family of 4. Since their house is nearby, Mary has been regularly visiting me since my husband passed away. Mom, are you eating properly? I heard this cake is popular these days. Let's eat it together. Mary often visits my house, bringing Ken and Nick along. Ken and Nick are very attached to me. Grandma, let's play together. I want to play with Grandma too, they say, jumping at me full of energy. My house, which used to be quiet when I was alone, sometimes gets lonely when I'm lost in thought. But whenever I hear the cheerful voices of the 3, I can't help but smile. Mary, Ken, and Nick have been a great source of support for me. However, Andy rarely shows his face. It seems his job is demanding, and he rarely has days off that coincide with Mary's. I think Andy is a little uncomfortable around me. During New Year's and summer holidays, he comes to visit with Mary and the others, but he always has an unpleasant look on his face. Andy, I'm sorry to trouble you during your precious time off. No. It's fine. He has very little to say and hardly makes eye contact with me. Sometimes, he even sighs. I understand that visiting in-laws can be stressful and not exactly enjoyable. Knowing Andy's feelings, I try to keep my distance as much as possible. However, there was one thing that concerned me about Andy. He hardly helps with childcare or housework. Since the twins were little, Mary had been juggling childcare, housework, and her job. To support Mary, I often looked after the twins and visited their home to help with chores. During those times, Andy would always be lounging on the sofa fiddling with his smartphone. He wouldn't even flinch when the twins cried. Moreover, he would casually ask Mary, who was clearly overwhelmed, "Hey, where's my dinner?" I couldn't stay silent and voiced my concerns several times. Andy, at least do your own things yourself. Mary is taking care of the twins. It's hard enough to take care of one baby, but with twins, it's twice as hard. That's why I believe that couples should work together in raising children. However, Andy just chuckled. Why do I have to be told this by you? It's a problem between us as a couple, so it's none of your business. Besides, I'm earning while I'm providing for the family. I don't think I deserve to be complained about. But Mary is also working, you know? Well, you're on Mary's side, aren't you? Since she's your actual daughter. I wish you could understand how it feels to be attacked 2-on-1 like this. With that, Andy would leave the room looking annoyed. Maybe I was the reason Andy was in a bad mood. I'm sorry, Mary. I said something unnecessary. As a mother-in-law, I probably shouldn't have interfered in their marital issues. I immediately felt apologetic towards Mary. However, Mary shook her head and thanked me for my actions. Oh, you don't have to apologize, Mom. It's okay. I'm at my wit's end because he doesn't listen to me no matter how many times I tell him. So it was a relief that you said it for me. Thank you. There were dark circles under Mary's eyes as she said that. Because of the uncooperative Andy, Mary was practically raising the twins alone. Seeing Mary struggle like that made my heart ache. So I decided to help Mary as much as possible. As a result of those days, the twins became more attached to me than to Andy. It seems Andy doesn't play with the twins even when he's off work. When they were younger, Ken and Nick used to say they wanted to play with their dad, but now that they know, Andy won't engage with them. The twins seem to have lost interest in their father. When the 4 of them visit for holidays, the twins mostly talk to Mary and me, hardly conversing with Andy. Perhaps they don't know how to interact with Andy. And Andy himself seems indifferent to his twin sons. While Mary and I play with the twins, Andy would just be fiddling with his smartphone to kill time. Of course, Mary isn't happy with this situation either. Andy, you're the only father the twins have. Can't you make some time for them? After the twins had gone to sleep, Mary repeatedly pleaded with Andy to understand. However, Andy's behavior never improved. I know I want to, but I'm exhausted from work. I want to relax on my days off, at least. Besides, they play with you and your mom, right? That should be enough. In the end, the distance between the father and sons remained. The twins turned 6, and Mary seemed to have given up on Andy. I understand that Andy works hard for the family. Still, both Mary and I wished he would spare a little more thought for the twins. After that, I continued to regularly meet with Mary and the twins, drawing energy from them. They were my adorable grandchildren and a kind daughter. At that time, I believed that the days we spent together would continue forever. However, Mary's demeanor gradually started to change. "Are you okay, Mom? What's wrong, Mary? You don't seem well." Mary and the twins came to visit my house as usual, but Mary's complexion looked unusually pale. When I tried to make tea, Mary quickly offered to help, but she stumbled as if she might be experiencing dizziness. I told her to rest and laid out a mattress in the next room. "I think I'm just a little tired from work and housework." "I'm sorry. You should go to the hospital. Your face is pale." "No, I'm fine. I'll be okay after I rest." But I couldn't see it as just a lack of sleep. Even when the twins were playing in the living room, I could hear Mary's pained voice. The twins were all so worried, their expressions clouding over. Mary continued to look unwell after that day. Despite my insistence, she kept saying that she was fine, saying she was just tired. I was worried that she might collapse if this continued. I thought about consulting Andy, wondering what he thought since he must see her at home, but my expectations were far off the mark. "Mary hasn't been feeling well lately. How does she seem to you, Andy?" "Is that so?" Andy laughed through his nose on the other end of the phone. I couldn't hide my surprise at his response. "Is that so? If you live together, you should notice things. Mary hasn't been herself lately. Come on, you're overthinking it. You're too protective just because she's your daughter." Of course, as our mother, I'm deeply concerned about my mother. But Andy is Mary's husband. Shouldn't he be worried about his wife's well-being? It would be terrible if something happened, so of course, I'm worried. You two are a couple. Shouldn't you be a little more concerned? Yes, I understand." In the end, Andy abruptly cut me off and ended the call. Perhaps I'm being overprotective as I care too much for my daughter. After Andy's words, I decided to refrain from consulting him in the future. Still, Mary's condition didn't improve. I managed to persuade her, saying she couldn't keep working in her condition, and urged her to see a doctor. As a result, Mary was diagnosed with cancer. Due to the late detection, there was nothing that could be done. Mary's prognosis was a year at most, and the moment I heard that from the doctor, my world went dark. Why did Mary have to suffer such a fate? When I noticed Mary's poor health, I should have forced her to go to the hospital. Then maybe the disease would have been detected earlier. I was so overwhelmed with despair that I couldn't even cry. I just couldn't accept the reality. And he was also there when the doctor delivered the prognosis. He too listened to the doctor's words in a phase. I thought Andy was also in shock just like me. But after the doctor finished talking, Andy's expression strangely brightened. "Ah, that's a shame." His words astonished me, and I froze. Andy continued to talk, ignoring me. "Well, if that's how it is, there's nothing we can do." He even showed a smile. I was beyond surprised. I was terrified. How could Andy accept the reality so easily? How can you show your teeth when your wife's life expectancy has just been announced? I thought maybe Andy was just putting on a brave face. He might be trying to stay strong so I wouldn't be in a dark mood. I see. I couldn't find the words and could only nod slightly. Andy must be in shock internally. I need to believe that he's just forcing himself to be strong. I had to believe that or my heart would break. And so Mary's hospitalization was decided. Mary acted strong, but she understood her condition. The occasional sad look she showed was heartbreaking. "Mom, please take care of the twins." And he made an outrageous suggestion, saying that since he was busy with work, he wanted me to take care of the twins at my house. I could understand where he was coming from, as he hadn't been involved in housework or childcare before. It would be difficult for him to take care of the twins while working. But the twins are now heartbroken because their mother is hospitalized. Shouldn't they be with their father during this time? "Shouldn't the twins be with you, Andy? I'll help with the housework." Andy rejected my suggestion. "No. I'm swamped with the work. Besides, the twins seem happier with you, Mom. I'll bring their things over tomorrow." In the end, I was pushed into taking care of the twins. "Ken, Nick, I'm sorry. Let's live with Grandma for a while. Don't apologize. I'm happy to be with you, Grandma. Dad doesn't do anything for us and doesn't even listen to us." "Thank you, Grandma." The twins smiled happily. Even if it was just a brave face, I was happy to hear it. I decided to take good care of the twins for their sake and for Mary's sake. But even after I took in the twins, Andy never came to see them. After about a month, I contacted him, but all I got was a single text message back. I'm busy with work, so it's not possible. His house is nearby, so even if he's busy, doesn't he want to see the twins? After that, he ignored my calls and didn't even read my messages. Ken and Nick act cheerful, but they must be pushing themselves. I felt terrible for them. This can't go on. I need Annie to be more aware of his role as a father, but he won't even talk to me. I was at a loss. I couldn't consult with Mary, who was already battling her illness. Was there anything I could do on my own? I kept thinking about it whenever I saw the twins' smiles. One day, as I headed to Mary's hospital room, she looked at me with a serious expression. "Thank you for taking care of the kids, Mom. I'm sorry for the trouble." "How did you know?" I didn't want to worry Mary, so I hadn't told her that I was taking care of the twins. But it seems she already knew. Annie tends to push troublesome things onto others, so I was worried, but it turned out just as I expected. "I'm sorry, Mary." "It's okay, Mom. I can handle anything for the kids, but don't push yourself too hard, okay?" I never imagined it would turn out like this. Tears glistened in Mary's eyes as she said that. I don't understand why such a hard worker like Mary has to go through this. I was filled with frustration and anger. "You can leave the kids with me now. They're both waiting for you to come home." "Yes. I'm not giving up yet." Mary forced herself to smile and look straight at me, despite her painful body. "That's right. You'll definitely get better, Mary." I believed in that and did my best to support her, staying by her side. The next day, I visited Mary's hospital room with the twins. The twins smiled when they saw Mary's face, and Mary, in turn, softened her gaze at the sight of them. Just then, Mary's doctor entered the hospital room. "Mary, how are you feeling?" Mary's doctor was a woman named Dr. Kim. Upon noticing the twins, Dr. Kim smiled at them. "Oh, how cute. These must be your children. They're twins. Come on, you two. Greet the doctor." Dr. Kim crouched down to meet the twins' eye level, but for some reason, the twins turned their faces away. Now, you two. That's rude to the doctor." "Sorry, doctor." "What's wrong, you two?" Normally, the twins would greet strangers with a cheerful hello, and they weren't shy. So why weren't they responding to Dr. Kim? Even when Mary and I urged them, the twins remained silent. Dr. Kim left the room looking a bit awkward. "What's wrong with you two? Why did you ignore the doctor?" Mary's tone was a bit stricter than usual, but the twins just looked down wearing a sullen expression. This was the first time something like this had happened, and neither Mary nor I could do anything but scratch our heads. I thought it best to change the subject. "By the way, Andy came by the other day, didn't he?" In fact, I had recently contacted Andy asking him to come to the hospital. However, he had refused, saying it was impossible because he was going to the hospital that day. I was relieved to hear that he was at least visiting Mary in the hospital, but Mary furrowed her brows. "No. He hasn't come even once." "Really?" Mary said that Andy had never visited her hospital room. Now why did he say he was going to the hospital? I had a question, but it wasn't something to ask Mary. I changed the subject again and had a pleasant chat before leaving the hospital with the twins. Still, I couldn't get Andy out of my mind. Why did he lie and refuse to see the twins? And where was he going? Saying he was going to the hospital. I was pretty sure that even if I asked Andy himself, he wouldn't tell me the truth. I had a bad feeling about this and felt depressed. Just then, the twins looked up at my face. "Grandma, what's wrong? Was there something sad?" "No. It's nothing. Don't worry about it." I smiled at the twins and tried to change my mood. The twins continued to stare at my face and then spoke. "You're wondering about Dad, right? Dad is going to the hospital. He's just not going to Mom's room." "What do you mean?" I could only stare back at the twins, unable to comprehend the meaning of their words. Why would Andy go all the way to the hospital but not visit Mary? Also, why do the twins know that? "Can you tell me more about that?" "Yes, okay." The twins smiled brightly and explained the situation. The truth left me speechless. Apparently, Andy had been visiting the hospital to see Dr. Kim, Mary's doctor. It seems the twins had gone to visit Mary after school the other day. That's when they saw Andy talking and laughing with Dr. Kim. Dad was talking with that doctor, just the two of them. Dad was smiling and the doctor was laughing too. They looked like they were having fun. The twins' expressions as they said this were grim. They must have sensed something unpleasant in the air. However, just hearing the twins' story wasn't enough to understand the situation. Perhaps he was discussing Mary's condition with the doctor, but the part about them smiling bothered me. Is it possible to smile when talking about your wife's illness? Moreover, if he came to the hospital, he should have visited Mary too. The twins' story made me even more confused. About a week later, as I was visiting Mary as usual, I spotted Andy at the hospital. I wondered if he had the day off work. He was in a good mood with a relaxed expression on his face. Recalling what the twins had told me, I decided to follow him. Then I saw Andy casually talking to Dr. Kim, paying no mind to their surroundings. I instinctively hid behind an object and watched them. There were no patients or other doctors around. Perhaps realizing this, Dr. Kim smiled softly. Lisa, I came to see you today too. I had some free time during my sales rounds. I just really wanted to see you. Thank you for coming to see me. It seemed that Lisa was Dr. Kim's first name. The two of them were talking very intimately. Lisa, let's get married after she's gone. It should be soon anyway. She's surprisingly persistent though. Oh, I also want to be with you soon, Andy. By the way, those twins are totally unfriendly. I wonder what kind of education their mother is giving them. I'm sorry about that. They're currently staying at my mother-in-law's place, and I think her upbringing is to blame. I couldn't believe my ears at their conversation. I had a bad feeling, but to think that Andy and Dr. Kim were having an affair and the way they spoke ill of me and the twins was absolutely unforgivable. My anger almost made me raise my voice. I couldn't forgive these two, openly having an affair in the workplace. However, even if I confronted them here, they would probably just deny it. I hadn't managed to record their conversation earlier. Without evidence, they could easily make excuses. Well then, I'll get back to work. Hang in there, Elisa. I clenched my fist and left the scene. I couldn't let them know that I had discovered their affair. I moved away without Andy noticing and headed to Mary's hospital room. But I was contemplating about whether I should tell Mary about this. It's unbelievable that her husband and her doctor are having an affair. Mary would be devastated if she found out. If possible, I wanted to tell her after she recovered. But Mary's condition was only getting worse with no sign of improvement in sight. What if something happened to Mary while she was still unaware of the truth? I couldn't come to a conclusion that day. A few days later, I was preparing dinner as usual, but my mind was filled with Andy's affair and I often found myself spacing out. Just then, the twins came home from school and looked at me. Grandma, what's wrong? Something happened, didn't it? Oh, no, it's nothing. I tried to act cheerful so as not to worry the twins, but their expressions remained somber. Did you see Dad with that doctor? Well, we should have gone with you. We're sorry. It seemed the twins had already figured out my worries, and they were worried about me. The twins already knew about their father's affair. There was no hiding it anymore. I'm sorry. You two are going through such a hard time. I could only apologize, stroking the twins' heads. I can only imagine how sad the twins must be right now. Andy, who betrays his adorable children, and his wife, who is fighting so hard against her illness, and Dr. Kim, who belittled Mary, who was trying her best to stay alive. I couldn't forgive those two. I couldn't just stay silent. I finally made up my mind to tell Mary about the affair. It would be better to tell her sooner rather than later, for Mary's sake. I swore to send those two who had caused so much suffering to my precious family to the depths of hell. Half a year later, despite the treatment, Mary passed away. Mary fought until the very end. She was truly a hard worker and a wonderful person. Even though I had prepared myself, I couldn't accept it immediately. I kept staring at Mary, who looked like she was just asleep. Many of Mary's colleagues and friends attended her funeral. Some gave eulogies through tears, while others sobbed uncontrollably. Everyone seemed to have adored Mary. Knowing that made me really happy. The children were tearful, but they smiled and said goodbye to Mary in the end. We love you, Mom. Thank you for everything. Some people were moved to tears by the twins' words. Although the sadness hasn't healed, I think it was a warm and wonderful funeral. But unfortunately, only Mary's husband, Andy, had a terrible attitude. During the funeral preparations, he was constantly on his phone and didn't offer to help. During the funeral, he was absent-minded and stared into the distance. When attendees spoke to him, he would give half-hearted responses, leaving them confused. Every time I heard his careless replies like, "Oh, is that so?" or, I felt a surge of discomfort. Andy, what was that attitude? Everyone came to see Mary off. After the funeral, I called Andy out in the relatives' waiting room. I couldn't stay silent after seeing his behavior. But Andy ignored my words and just grimaced, looking displeased. It was as if he was saying, "Don't talk to me. I thought he would at least act properly today, but you're Mary's husband. I need you to be strong for Mary's sake." Andy glared at me sharply when I said that. "Even if you say that, it's fine now, isn't it? Mary's gone after all. What are you saying? I'd appreciate it if you praised me for even attending the funeral. I'm busy with work, you know." Andy expressed his irritation and complained. It seemed pointless to say anything more to him. I gave up on trying to reason with him and changed the subject. "We'll have a discussion about the twins' custody at a later date. Please make time for that." "Ah, custody." Andy glanced at the twins and declared, "You're going to live with your grandma, right? The twins are attached to you. So let's consider the custody discussion over. I'm leaving then." "Wait, you should listen to the children's opinions too. It's not right to decide things on your own without consulting them." It's true that I wanted to take custody of the twins. Andy hadn't visited them even once, and he had left all the childcare and housework to Mary. I couldn't entrust the twins to such a man, But even so, it was too much for him not to listen to their opinions at all. I thought that if the twins wished to live with Andy, I would respect their decision. After Mary, their only living parent is Andy. You're their father. Do you understand how lonely they've been until now? The twins were also present in the relatives' waiting room. I tried to keep the conversations as calm as possible in front of them, but upon hearing Andy's words, I couldn't hold back. However, Andy just gave an unfazed, almost mocking smile. Ugh, so noisy, this mother-in-law. I'm going to remarry a doctor. I'm returning the brats with the defective genes. What did you say? It seems that Addy had already given up on hiding his relationship with Dr. Kim. His unexpected statement left me at a loss for words. Neither of them took to me even when I tried to engage with them. I'm the one working and earning money, yet they're so ungrateful. Raise these ignorant brats with your defective genes yourself. How dare you? I took the twins to a back room and quickly contacted the lawyer. The lawyer was aware of our situation and said he would come immediately. Relieved, I decided to deal with Andy and Dr. Kim. It's a nuisance for you to come here unannounced. Shut up. If you suddenly send something like this, anyone would come to talk, right? Andy was holding the certified letter in his hand. Kim glared at me with her eyes narrowed. That's right. What's the meaning of this? Explain it properly. The two were quite agitated, making a scene in front of my house. I had to let them into the entryway because they were causing a disturbance to the neighbors. Honestly, there's not much to explain. You two are having an affair, so I'm demanding compensation. I'll make sure you pay it. What? We weren't having an affair. Besides, Mary is no longer in this world. Who are you going to pay the compensation to? Me. I'm the inheritor of the right to claim compensation. When I said that, Andy's eyes widened. He raised his voice even louder and started arguing. There's no reason for you to get any money. You're just trying to exploit Mary's death and extort money from me, aren't you? You're the lowest.